So today I want to talk about the size of Greenland and Africa and how that is related to your IQ and your marks, Shrikant.
This is unfair. A lot of things are related to my IQ and my marks, and all of them worry me. But to compare it to Greenland and Africa, what are you doing to me, Naveen?
Your IQ is that big probably, but okay, let's see, right? So look at this map of Greenland. Okay, This here is Greenland.
It looks very icy.
And this looks very large also, like your IQ. And this is Africa, right?
Yeah.
So let's look at the north-south distance from the north tip to the bottom of Greenland and Africa. Which do you think is larger?
Look, it looks to me like Greenland is roughly like a knuckle and a half length, and Africa is barely a knuckle length. So I'm going to say Greenland is taller and therefore longer from north to the south as compared to Africa. Look at the screen.
Right. So the important thing about today's episode is this, that the map does not really correspond to reality. Okay, that's what this episode is. The map is not the territory. Let us look. What is happening here is that the Earth is a globe, and to flatten it out on a two-dimensional map, you have to stretch it. And the parts at the north and the parts at the bottom, they get stretched, and the parts in the middle don't get stretched. As a result, Greenland looks far bigger than it really is. Okay. So let us look at what really happens. So now this is a map where the different colored patches are Greenland when it is moved to other parts of the globe. I mean, on this map, the size shrinks.
Perspective shift.
Yeah. What you can see, if you look at this thing here, Greenland is probably the size of India.
Yeah.
Okay? Africa is like way larger than Greenland.
Wow. I was so wide of the mark.
Yes.
So it's as big as Australia. Australia is that big?
So there is a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can see.
In fact, the problems with maps are much more serious than just the size of Greenland and so on, right?
Okay.
So let's take a look at this mountain. You can see here, this is Mount Salak.
Okay.
There was a Sukhoi jet in Indonesia, which was on a demo flight, 45 people on it. And you know, the instruments, the map that the pilot was using said that there is no mountain here.
Sukhoi jet with 45 people on it?
Well, it was a
commercial kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
8 crew and 35 passengers
of some kind. Okay.
And so the map said there is nothing here, and the mountain disagreed with them. In fact,
mountain disagreed with them is a very, very gentle, euphemistic way of saying something truly horrible happened.
No, actually it was worse. The instrument panel was indicating that there is something here, there is ground here which is much very close. And the pilot ignored the warning because the map said everything looks clear, and the jet crashed.
The pilot wasn't looking at the terrain?
I don't know. I didn't read the details there, but maybe it was just too fast. By the time he noticed it,
it was too late. Yeah. Why don't you guys read the details and tell Naveen what he missed?
Yeah. So again, important to keep in mind that the map is not the territory.
Yeah.
Okay. But this isn't about maps, right? This episode is about how this concept applies everywhere else in your real life. Okay?
Yeah.
But before that, let's just take a few more examples with actual maps, right? Where
yes, please.
There have been major impact on real life. Okay. So here, let's look at the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
Okay. So Japan is here. Okay. Do you know where Pearl Harbor is? Pearl Harbor is here at this other end, right?
Okay.
So a lot of people actually think that it was crazy for Japan to fly so far to attack Pearl Harbor.
I mean,
in fact, it is believed that a lot of actual military strategists also just saw this and said, well, never really imagined that Japan would be attacking Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
Okay? But you know what the problem here is.
Yeah.
Right? The problem is that
the reality is looking literally the other way around.
Yeah. In fact, because map is not the territory, let's change the map. Right? If you look at the map like this, now let us see. This here is Japan,
and
this here is US.
Yeah.
And Pearl Harbor seems to be like kind of
equidistant
between them. Right? So, but because you are used to seeing a map in a certain way, you form a mental model in your head
of the territory.
And most of the time it works well, but once in a while you forget that reality is different, and that causes serious problems.
Problems. The map is not the territory.
Right?
Well,
just continuing with maps. Right? If you look at, let's look at Africa here. Right? You can see there are I'm not sure how many countries, but
many
you
countries.
can see there are 20, 30 countries. And especially if you were a marketer and you were going to go there, you assume this country is like this country is like this.
Yeah.
In reality, if you look at Africa linguistically, it is hundreds, if not thousands of little pieces, right? Yeah. Just because we drew a certain map, we created country boundaries. Now everybody thinks of all of Nigeria as one unit, right? Same thing happens to India.
Yes.
In India, when India got free, we did not have all of these states. Maharashtra didn't exist and Gujarat didn't exist, and
a lot of states didn't exist. Telangana back then didn't exist, for
right.
simple
And then
example.
There was a big overhaul called the linguistic reorganization of states.
Yes.
Okay. And states were broken up according to language, and Maharashtra became the state of Marathi people. Now that's the map. The territory is actually much, much trickier. If you go to the south of Maharashtra near Kolhapur, there are lots of Kannada speaking people there. You cross the border into Belgaum, there are lots of Marathi people there. And now suddenly, because there is a border, Marathi people are on this side and Kannada people are on that side, and you're not supposed to speak Kannada on this side. Yeah. And it causes problems.
Massive problems if you've been reading the news.
Yes, and you go to the northeast of Maharashtra, and if you assume that this is a Marathi place, you will run into issues because a lot of them speak
Hindi, Chhattisgarhi, or whichever is the local dialect in that region.
But what starts happening is that suddenly this map has given everybody the permission to say, okay, Marathi is the only thing that works here. Right? And I'm not talking about Maharashtra specifically, but all the states.
Extrapolated to any state you want, any state you are in right now. I'm pretty sure in your state, whichever state you are in right now, except the state of denial, you will find something similar happening.
Yeah. So, over time, the map starts influencing
policies
reality,
and a lot of things.
And if you are not careful, you lose touch with the complexity of reality. The point of the map is that it's a simplified picture. Okay, it helps in understanding things. It helps in taking decisions, but you miss out on the complexity, and so once in a while your decisions might be wrong.
Yeah, and extremely important if you are a marketer trying to target people in those areas. So in fact, keep that in mind.
No, so forget areas, forget an actual map.
Okay,
right? If you are a marketer or if you are a product manager, right? You are in charge of a product like, say, Instagram, right? And you create an understanding of your customers based on a lot of data that you are collecting, and you say that young people in certain age are doing this with my product, older people are doing this, people in India are doing this, and then you tend to forget that the analytics that you have collected, the Excel spreadsheets you have created, those are just the map. Real people on the other side are complex people. There is a lot of complexity in all the reality. And if you live only in your spreadsheets, sooner or later you start making mistakes. Sooner or later you start missing out on changes that are happening.
I feel a Hindi dialogue coming on. इस स्प्रेडशीट के बाहर भी एक दुनिया है रमेश बाबू. There you go.
Yes.
Thank you.
So there is a world outside your spreadsheets. If you are ever in that situation, which you will be,
Of course.
you have to make sure that you regularly are in touch with the reality. You need the simplicity of your spreadsheets to make decisions, but you have to be in touch with the reality to know when your spreadsheet doesn't apply for which decisions, and when your spreadsheet is no longer mapping reality well enough.
Okay, so give me an example of this spreadsheet being applicable in my, say, day-to-day life. Where can I find the map is not the territory applicable in day-to-day life?
So one thing is that a person's IQ or a person's marks, right? You use that to decide whether you're going to hire somebody, to decide whether you're going to hang out with somebody.
Yes, a lot of people did that with me.
And the marks make it easier to take some of these decisions.
Yes.
But the marks are the map. The territory is the person and what they will do, over a period of 5 years working with you, right? So many people have had experiences that the really the scholar turned out to be a dud in real life, and the person doing badly turned out to be the star employee, right? That's because the map is not the territory.
There you go, teacher. Look at me now.
In fact, even simpler, you look at Instagram, right? You look at what your friends and friends of friends are doing on Instagram, and you assume that their lives are like that. And you go around being very unhappy that so many people are having so much fun and you are a loser.
Yeah.
Right? In fact, there is a lot of research showing that since the rise of Instagram, teenagers, especially teenage girls, have had increasing mental problems because they compare themselves to their Instagram friends and realize that they are not as cool as the friends on Instagram.
Instagram is the map and real life is the territory.
Correct.
The map is not the territory.
Right. What is happening is that on Instagram, what you are seeing is the highlights of their life. You are comparing their highlights reel with your behind the scenes bloopers, right? Because you saw your full life, 24 hours you saw, including all the mess ups that happened.
Prabhu Charan.
Yes.
But this funnily reminds me of one of the other videos that we've done on metrics and measuring them and them not being, what was that principle?
Goodhart's law.
Yeah, there you go.
So yeah, it's basically a similar concept that Goodhart's law says that if you are using a metric, a measurement of something to take decisions, and people realize that this measurement is all that is being used to take the decision, that measurement becomes a target. And then people start focusing on that instead of the reality. Right?
So you look at the metric as a map, and you forget that there is a much bigger, wider territory to look at.
Correct. In fact, watch that video. It has some excellent examples, and you will notice all of them are examples of the map is not the territory, because whoever was in charge of that metric lost track of the reality.
But
in fact, I want to point out that once you understand this concept and just think about it in your daily life, you will notice examples over and over again. In fact, what we are going to do, there are just so many examples that we can't fit them in this video. We are creating a different bonus video. If you want to see that, post a comment or tweet to us and we will send you a link.
Yes, do that, comment or tweet to us and we'll get that done. Coming back to the topic at hand, does this mean that there is no point in relying on maps at all? Surely not, right?
So there is a funny story. Jorge Luis Borges is an author.
I think it's Borges.
Borges, yeah. In one of his stories, he mentions a map that is, whose scale is 1 mile to 1 mile.
Okay.
Can you imagine that map being useful? No, it is as big as the territory, right?
Yeah.
All the complexity. That if you have a 1:1 scale map, you will not be able to use it For navigating, you will not be able to use it for finding distances. In fact, you will not be able to use it at all.
Ooh, joke. Which is why a lot of software developers swear by map reduce.
Yeah, because okay, somebody is going to come and beat you for that. Okay?
Sorry.
But, a very famous example I want to show you. I'm just showing here two maps.
Okay.
This is what you see in the front is this very famous map or schematic of the London Underground, the subway.
Okay.
Right, and this is considered one of the masterpieces of design. It makes it so easy. It's a fairly complicated subway system compared to our Bombay locals, right? But it still makes it quite easy to know how to get from one place to another, where do you have to do the interchange and so on.
Yeah.
But the reality is that London doesn't look anything like that. The map in the background that you are seeing here, and you will see there's a one-to-one mapping between the colors. That is the real map.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stations in the middle here, they're all smooshed together in the center of London. And a lot of the stations at the side are like so far apart that they don't even fit in the map. Right?
Yeah.
If you used a realistic map for this, it would be unusable.
True,
And
because
in fact, it was. That is why this map was created. Okay, so maps are important. Maps are necessary. A reality has a surprising amount of detail. Okay, we have another video on that concept. Fascinating. You should watch it. But it's a different concept. So not going there.
Different video, but it is there. Yeah.
So
look for it.
Reality has a surprising amount of detail. And you wouldn't be able to function if you kept all of reality in your head at all times. You need simplifications. You need maps, which is why, but make sure that you're using a map which is right for this particular purpose. The other thing that happens to maps is that they become static. They don't change. When reality changes, the map should change, but that doesn't happen. And we lose out.
It's a capture of a specific moment in time reduced into available area to display.
Exactly. And when reality changes, the map doesn't change, and then you miss out again. One interesting thing that somebody told me is that you have one map. You can lose track of the fact that the territory is different. When you have two very different maps, like we saw Pearl Harbor from different angles, right? When you have two different maps, that makes it easier to keep in mind that the map is not the territory. Which is why I always say that if you get a chance to spend 2-3 years abroad, you should definitely take it, because your culture in your own country, your culture, your language, the way, what is polite, what is not polite, how do you treat relatives,
the way we deal with things in general.
Everything, right? Yeah. That is a map created for us 3,000 years ago by our ancestors. When you go abroad, you see a different map and you realize that it is not the territory. In fact, that's how you realize that a whole bunch of things you've been taking for granted, but which doesn't have to be like that. And you're able to take the best from both worlds. So have 2 maps, have 3 maps, and take the best from each map.
Travel broadens the horizons very literally. Like it broadens the map very literally.
No, but I'm not saying just about travel. Everything you do in life, realize that you create a mental model of some reality. What you should do is have multiple mental models, and they help you to understand the reality better, right?
Multiple models, multiple perspectives.
Yes, which is why fiction exists, which is why you should read good novels, because they give you a different model of the world from what you are used to.
Which is why reading Harry Potter is as important as reading, say, Noam Chomsky or Friedrich Nietzsche or I don't even know any other authors.
Whatever you
just
can
trying
read,
to show off.
Right?
See, big IQ, Greenland size. That's me, Shrikant. That's Naveen. This is FutureIQ. Thank you.
Thank you.